a nice open posture with your feet just a little wider than your shoulders. I'll come back to that in a little bit. And we're going to put our hands on our stomach. And the idea with this is we want our stomach to go back and down. It's a lengthening breath is what I call this. And that simply means that we're getting taller and longer each time we inhale. And your stomach normally would come out with your regular belly breath, like you would do in a Tai Chi class or something like that. Opposite. So we inhale, your stomach goes back and down. And then relax. And I keep getting myself more upright just to kind of emphasize this, but you don't have to stand at military attention every time. So you inhale. And I open my hands a little bit just to give me a little more stretch. There we go. Maybe I can. I've been laying off the ice cream for a little while, so maybe I can demonstrate this a little bit better. There you go. So the stomach again, back and down, longer and taller. When you do that, you'll find these muscles engage a little bit. It makes you more upright and it takes some of the load, and hopefully it reverses some of the postural issues. People with Parkinson's tend to have a little bit of leaning forward. We want to correct that a little bit. So I'll keep this like this for now. You know, it's not fashionable to tuck your shirt in anymore, apparently. So let's go ahead and we'll have our hands here. We're going to do a couple inhale through your nose, lengthening breath. Here we go. Ready? Exhale. Feel like I'm blowing candles out. That's just to add a little more resistance. You can do it or not. Do you want a little more intensity? Let's try it again. Good. And then sometimes I like to open and close, so I'll have my nice tight fizz here, and I'll inhale. And then exhale. Again, I'm blowing out those candles. Great. Okay, so now I'm going to throw something new at us today that we haven't done before, and it's more of an exercise that I'll be asking people to consider doing after, but I wanted to show you the concept because typically speaking, you can, if you use hiking poles, you can do this. If you have a kitchen counter you can do this, but I want to show you a little bit about how to actually use the poles to give you a little resistance. I want you to visualize this with me. So what will happen is you'll have these poles, which I don't know if anyone's done any Nordic walking. It's a very good exercise for Parkinson's. I would normally have these a little taller because I want them to hear when I'm pushing off, but I'm gonna have a little bit lower so that they're right at the top of right where my hands would be if I had them on my belly when I'm breathing. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna push down as you inhale. And so because you don't have poles, what I want you to do today is I want you to put your hands there and I want you to feel like it. I want you to visualize if you have the poles, and you're going to do that same lengthening breath, and you're just going to use that little extra lift to make you a little more upright. So let's try a couple without together. You push down, but once you have this here, you have an awful lot. You have a lot more leverage, and it gives you a little more. So again, later on, if you have these, that's great. If you don't, go to a kitchen counter, and we'll do these together. I'm going to visualize them with you. Put your hands down and inhale. Exhale, and they're just visualizing at this point. One more time. Okay, and the key with that is that we're just trying to use this bit of leverage here. The other thing I would do with this is I would open the poles up so they're like this, and I would step through a little bit like that. So maybe we can stand. When you step, you're not stepping straight forward. We're not doing, a sobriety check. We're opening our foot a little bit. You don't want your feet getting too close together. And it's the same thing. You're just inhaling. You're feeling that resistance. And because you don't have the poles, you would do the same thing without them. Let's try it again. Last one. Okay, now let's switch to the other foot. And most of you, your Parkinson's started on one side or the other, and so you're going to have a good side and a bad side. Even if it's happening on both sides now, when it first got diagnosed, it was probably happening more on one side. And so when you're doing this with one foot, and then you go over to the other foot. Whichever foot is your better performer is the model, and make the other foot that's weaker do it as well. So you stand. There we go. I said stand in it. You step, and you open it like that. And then if you have poles, when you have poles, you would just put them here and use the poles to give you a little bit of leverage. Very good. I'm going to stop with these now. I'm happy to be in Cincinnati. All the toys are here, and so I'm start playing with it. But if you haven't done any Nordic walking, there's some interesting research on it for Parkinson's for sure, especially if you're doing it right because you're working the tricep and a lot of the back muscles. But for our purposes, I'm just doing it because we can do breath work, because it's fun. So I'll stop with that. I'm going to go into another part of the breath now, and I'm just going to make a quick change here. For the next one, you might consider being seated or standing. It's either. And I have a clock face here, and we're just going to take some of these concepts that we used, and we're going to do it here. Make sure you got this in. Yeah. Okay, so I have a whole clock here, and I start with my fists nice and tight in the middle. We're going to do what's called open and close. So when they're closed, I'm in the center, and my fists are tight. This is a range of motion exercise. Then I open it up to 3 and 9 or thereabouts. There we go, that's the position. And as I open them, I'm going to bring my hands more widely open. One more time. Good. Now let's just bring one elbow up, and I'm not being too precise about it, but I'm going to go to 5 and 11 like that, okay? So we go, open it up. If that's too high, you can bring that 11 down to 10 or even 9, whenever it feels comfortable. Open, and then you exhale. Back to nice tight fist each time. Now I'm going 1 and 7, okay? And again. There we go. Then I like to go to 10 and 2, but I want to pretend that I have something heavy down here, like I have a big bucket, and I want to have that same lengthening breath sensation where I feel like going back and down as I get longer and taller. So you're going to use this, visualizing that sensation of carrying something heavy. It's a way of reinforcing that. There we go. Then exhale with that pursed lips. Looks good. One more time. Love it. Okay, now 8 and 4-ish or 7 and 5 are just going to open. Very good. Now, we'll do a couple more, but we'll do like 9 and 5. We'll play with it, and then we'll play around some other ones. But I get a little spatially challenged when I'm doing this. So sometimes it helps me to say, okay, here's 9, here's 5, bring them back together, and now we do it. Let's do more. That looks so good. Let's do it again. Same lengthening breath. Blowing out the candles if you can. Now I'm going to try to do 3 and 8. Ready? Good. Let's do maybe 11 and 3 maybe. Here we go. So 11, 3, here we go. Good. And how about 8 and 1? So here's your 8, here's your 1. See, again, this one's always a hard one. Ready? I still kind of blew it, but you see what I was trying for. Love it. Now, if you're practicing this at home, you can either pretend that there's a screen behind you with the numbers like that and you're a magical clock, right? Or you can just turn around and look at a clock. Like I keep a clock over here to keep track of the time. You can just have something like this around. If that doesn't work for you, you don't have old-fashioned clocks and you've moved yourself to an entirely digital lifestyle, then I would just take some Post-it notes and I would just put them on my wall. Like there's the 12, yeah, and I would just place them on there, and that would give you 12, 3, and 6, and 9. I wouldn't go crazy. You know, these are made out of trees, but you could give yourself a little bit of help with that. Actually, I think this was it. Yep. You saw my magic hiding place there. So you could do it like that as well, just to give you a little bit of reference. The only reason why we have these clock face pieces is that we're trying to actually give you a cue so that you move your arms bigger. That's the whole point of this. I will do one more activity with this, and all I'm going to have you do, instead of having us going open like this, we're going to have 2 on one side. So I'm going to pick like 9, 50, and so I would go like 9, and then 50 would cross over, okay? And if you see what I'm doing here, I'm not twisting my back to get there. I'm shifting my weight, so you might have to end up stepping with your foot so you can get it to there, but I want 950, okay? Here we go, ready? 950. Okay, let's try 855. So here's your 8, and then you're going to come all the way up to 55, okay? Here we go, ready? There we go. I want to try one more like that. That was more work to set it up than it was to do it. Okay, let's try maybe 220. Okay, so here's your 2, here's your 20. Here we go, ready? And again, if you have a cue, it just gives you a place to point to. Like if I put one of these up far enough up here, I would actually try to reach for it if I was really shooting for it. So I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do 315. So I try to go 315, and it becomes a way of giving me a cue. So just giving you some ways to do this so you can make it more effective when you're practicing at home. But now we're going to move on to our voice. Okay, and this is exactly when I would like to turn people back on. So anyone who wants to unmute, now is your chance. Do get a sip of water because we're going to start using our voice quite a bit. Okay, so when I do voice work, what I really want to do is make as much sound as I can with the least amount of tension. So we're definitely going to be loud. If you've done LSVT or speak out, those are both approaches that focus on increasing the volume. And I want the same thing, but I want to do it with as much sound as I can make with the least amount of effort. And so we're going to start by humming because it's really easy to get a nice loud sound without tension. And when I'm humming, I'm using energy. And the key is that it's almost like I'm doing that loud ah you would do with a speech therapist. I'm going that's how much energy I want for the humming. Okay, so let's go in through our nose. We're going to take a nice big breath. Just hum with me. Hum. Good. If you can't make it last as long as the rest of us, don't worry. Just take another breath and jump in. Do not try to squeeze out the last little. Oh, I'm going to tighten it up there. Don't do that. Just add more air. It's like I'm watering a garden. I need to get some flowers way over there. Turn up the hose. Add more water. Add more air. Don't squeeze the end of the hose or anything like that because that just works the vocal folds harder without really benefiting you. So let's try it again. Same thing. Nice hum in through your nose. Hum. Good, good. Okay, for the next one, we're just going to part our lips a little bit. And we're going to do the same humming. It's going to look like I'm playing a flute. So I'm not like that. I'm not singing. It's just. Don't worry. You'll be adding the vibration to that. You'll be making the vibration at your lips as well as down here. So in through your nose. Good. Every time I hear someone breaking through, that means someone's being nice and loud. That's great. Let's try the same thing again. We're going to take a breath in through our nose. We're going to hum through the parted lips. Excellent, excellent. We're trying to see how long we can make this last on a single breath with a good clean sound without a lot of tension. Okay, so we're going to switch now to the rounded lips, and this is going to be more like your yeah. You don't want to sound like you're going ooh ooh. You want because we're going to take that sound and we're going to use it. We're going to use that for our glides. But first, let's do it entirely on one pitch. Okay, yeah, I should have prompted us all to drink a little more water too. Staying hydrated is really critical for a lot of reasons, but for voice, it's essential. So we're going to go in through our nose, rounded lips. Ready? That sounds really good. And yeah, people are already doing a good job of picking their own pitch. Everyone has their own fundamental frequency, so don't feel like you got to match me. Let's try one more like that, and then we'll go into the next part. We're going to go in through our nose. Now we're going to take the same sound and we're going to go from a low note to a high note, and we're going to use the word whoop. So it's going to sound like this. It's going to sound like okay, but we're going to add a movement to it. So I'm going to come back here a little bit so you can see it. So I'm going to bring my hands like this, and then we're going to do the whoop part all the way here until we get all the way to the top. That's where we're done. Okay, so just follow with me. Here we go. Ready? Nice. Let's try that again. Try to see if you can get a little higher. If you're having a hard time getting into that upper part, that falsetto, it usually means that you're not moving quickly at the bottom. So you need to move a little faster. Let's all do it together. We'll try it again. Very good. Yeah, and if anybody's having any difficulty with the arms, you can figure out where it works. But if you can bring them up, it does a nice stretch. Okay, here we go. Last one of these. Good. Now we're going to go the other way. We're going to start high, and we're going to say the word boo. Boo. We bring our arms down like that. Okay. Watch how I turn the ooh into an ah at the bottom, and that is strictly just to get sound without tension. So there's nothing more to it than that. So in through your nose. That's great. That's great. Let's try it again. Let's try one more time, guys. Ready? Good. And if anytime you want, you can just do a little ha. It's a nice warm-up stretch just for some sound. Okay. Okay. So the next part of this exercise has us doing more power movement with it. No, I want that. All right, folks. Don't want to stop that recording. We're going to save this for later. We want more sound. Oh, too many slides, folks. Sorry about this. There we go. And what we're going to do is with my left hand's on top, that's the ah sound. We're going to start with humming, and then we're going to open it to an ah. And when my left hand's on top, we're going to open it to an O. And when it's E, it's side to side. So you just follow along with me. Take a big breath. When you're making the E sound, make it really nasal because it'll tighten up on you sometimes. You don't want to go E. You want to go hey. Tell us not where you're from. Okay, let's try E together. Ready? Now let's do a little dynamics. We're going to start quiet, get a little bit louder, then get a little bit louder, and then get a little bit louder, and then full, I would say full Pavarotti. We're not really singing, but full voice. Okay, here we go. Ready? Now let's try with the nose. Same thing. Ready? Good, good. Again, another easy warm-up you can do, just humming a little bit. It's a nice way to get the sound activated without like just working too hard. I mean, I want the sound and I want the work, but I don't want you to feel like you're shouting and screaming the whole time. I wanted to keep it loud without tension, without energy like that. So I'm going to move on to a new concept today. And this is a brand new topic that I don't think you've seen before. I actually got these materials when I was helping a researcher work on accent for a presentation. That's an area of work that speech therapists can do, accent modification. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to use what we call contrasting intonation. And intonation is the ups and downs that you use when you're speaking. Like if I want to let you know that I'm asking a question, all of a sudden, it doesn't matter what I say, but it sounds like I'm asking a question or like that. It's like that's how we use intonation in communication. And for us, if we can capitalize on that, you might make it easier to be understood without necessarily having to just turn it up. And the way we do that to add emphasis without necessarily adding volume is to stop before and after a word. It's like a little speed bump. So if I said, hey, I want to add pauses before and after. And by putting those pauses in there, now you're really drawn towards the before that I'm saying there. Now you can also stretch it out a little bit and say, I want to make sure I do that before. So I've made the word a little bit longer. And so those are two things that we do without really thinking about it. And the only thing I'll say is be careful not to overuse any of these. A little goes a long way. It's like a spice, because if you use too much, then you're going to sound like you're either being condescending or you're getting tired or frustrated with somebody. And I'm not here to train you all to be cantankerous. I want you to be able to use the concept. So just to show you real quick, we'll practice with this and then I'll show the exercise. We do this with the vowel length. We do this all the time when we have sounds that end in a sound that doesn't use your voice, what we call voiceless consonant, like a P or a K or a T, versus a voice consonant like a B and a G and a D. So we say bop, bob. Let's all try it together. Ready? Bop, bob. Right? Even when I say Bob, I'm saying some guy's name, right? Duck, dog, right? Who's a good dog? Who's a good dog? Who's a good dog? Who's a good dog, right? That's how we stretch out those sounds. So let's just do the last two because they're here. Kit versus kid. Let's all do it together, ready? Kit, kid. Lap, lab.
Lab.
So what we'll do then, in a context, oops, no wrong one here. I'm going to be the green, and all you folks are going to be the blue. And so I'm going to be the guy that doesn't pay attention very well and says the same stupid questions like, what will be in Miami this year? And you'd say, the conference will be in Miami this year. The conference will be in Miami this year. I've added a little emphasis. I've added a little pause in there. And now I know that you told me that the most important part of that is conference. So let me try it again. What will be in Miami this year?
The conference will be in Miami this year.
And I would add just even a little more pause just to make it even more. The conference will be in Miami this year. Again, I'm not trying to make you into cantankerous curmudgeons, but we're working on evidence. Okay, so I said the conference won't be in Miami this year, and you say no.
Conference will be in Miami this year.
The conference will be in Miami this year. The conference will be in Miami this year. I put will be, that's also acceptable. But you see how I'm changing? So I'd say the conference will be in Atlanta this year. And you go,
Conference will be
in Miami.
This year.
the conference will be in Miami this year. Yes, you got it. Okay, so then I say the conference will be in Miami next year. And you go,
this year.
yeah. So take the time with this. You guys have all the time in the world. I'm a speech therapist, so I am the most sympathetic ears you're going to have all day, which is to say, it's not the conference will be in Miami this year. It's the conference will be in Miami this year. This year. You don't have to use the hand gestures. You can put your hand in your pocket. The conference will be in Miami this year.
This year.
Okay. Will the conference be in Miami this month? And you go,
conference will be in Miami this year.
Year, exactly.
And this year.
Again, my experience when I introduce this is a very easy way to improve clarity without necessarily improving effort. And effort is good. Effort helps in Parkinson's. Louder is always more intelligible. So I'm not taking that away from this. I'm leaving that alone because I know that works. This is just another thing. It's like, hey, I'm not being understood. I don't want to go there. I want to go to there. I want to go to the store. I want to blah, 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 blah. It's like by emphasizing the words this way, it gives you a little bit more control. So can we try it one time through here, and I'll build on this more in the next one. But let's get this exercise nailed down, and then we'll stop. I know I'm going a little bit over here. So I'll be green, you be blue. Take all the time you need. The conference will be in Miami this year. Really push it, okay? Well, the conference, what will be in Miami this year? And you say?
The conference.
Conference will be in Miami this year.
Whoever was first, you nailed it. That was perfect. Okay, and everyone else, you all mixed together, but I'm sure you did amazing. But the first guy, I heard it. It was great. The conference won't be in Miami this year, and you say?
The conference will be in Miami this year.
Take your time. The conference will be in Miami this year. Let's try that all again.
Conference will be in Miami this year.
Excellent. Will the conference be in Atlanta this year?
Conference will be in Miami this year.
The conference will be in Miami this year. Yeah, you can play with it. You know, we're all like actors now, I guess. Will the conference be in Miami next year?
Conference will be in Miami this year.
This year.
Yes. Someone's really got it. It's perfect. Okay. Will the conference be in Miami this month?
Conference will be in Miami this year.
And the thing I would say that when you're experimenting with something like this, especially if you're playing with it, you could kind of make a Mad Libs kind of version of this where you put like a location and a person and a time, whatever. We might do that. But as you're doing it on your own, you can just experiment with what works with your speaking style, colloquially, where you are in the country, and figure out how much emphasis, how much energy, how much length. And that's the way I think you can improve a piece of communication. You can't fix it all, but that's a little piece that I don't think. Again, I came across this. I was working with a researcher out of Brazil, helping them with a presentation, and we started working on it. I was like, I'm going to steal this for Parkinson's, because it'll work. So I'll stop here now, guys. You will have access to this video. I'll be sending a link out to everybody as soon as it gets edited. If you have polls, you can try it. If you don't have polls, you can go to your nearest kitchen counter, because you'll have the same height, and you can do the same thing there. Or you can do it just visualizing it. You don't ever need any equipment for any of this. I'm just putting it here because I happen to have this studio right now. I have it for about a month and a half. So I'm just playing with all the toys I have. So anybody have any questions?
Ski poles,
Oh, these are called hiking poles. Nordic walking is sometimes what you'll see when you look up any research online, but they're just REI. Probably any sporting good place would have them.
You can get them at Dick's.
Dick's
call them-
Sporting Goods, exactly right.
Trekking poles.
Trekking poles. That's another way, yeah. Trekking poles, hiking poles. I would not go crazy and try to buy a pair of carbon fiber $120 hiking poles. I would buy the cheapest, decent ones that do what you want. I do like them when they're completely adjustable and they don't have like like some of them have like a little notch on them. That's like you can be this high, or you can be this high, or you can be this high. I like to be able to do it very granularly. But yeah, that's all they are. And
They're
again,
pulled up too.
yeah, typically these won't go all the way up, but they're decent. Like this is them in their natural state. I couldn't fly with them, which is why they're here in Cincinnati. I just bought another pair when I got to Portugal. But yeah, worth looking in. And actually, again, for Parkinson's, there's some really good data on using these poles if you're walking outside, because you're more upright and you're pushing off with your hands, and that strengthens the triceps and makes things a little more engaged. If you're going to do that, this is me being a speech therapist, right? Not a physical therapist or an occupational therapist. You might run it by your PT or whoever you do your exercise work with, just to make sure that it's set up the way you want it. I can show you in our class, but someone that knows your case is always valuable. Just because I'm a speechy, I don't want to cross too far out of my field, right? But I will use it for breathing. That's totally acceptable. All right, folks. Anybody have any other questions? Any other thoughts?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll send this link in the mail. Okay, thank you.